Welcome to Big Blue Breakdown, Louisville Beatdown Edition. Your host, as always, Matthew Lyles, joined by the one, the only, Buck Nasty the third. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to celebrate a huge win. You don't have to worry about those birds talking about you anymore. Hashtag Birdbox.
You know, you're absolutely right. That was the only Birdbox I wanted to see. It's great. Oh, this is the fourth time in history that Kentucky has won in football and in basketball the same calendar year. 1913, 1914, 2010, and now 2018.
Feels great.
That is awesome. I mean, and to beat them in the fashion that we have. I mean, you look over the last. You look whether you want to look at football and basketball this year. We know we embarrassed them, and in basketball or in football, we dominated in basketball. I mean, the game was closer. You never felt like you truly had them away. But I think that I give credit to that to the fans. The fans cheered for every basket. So with the fans and Young Center really going nuts, you always felt like, hey, there might be a run.
Yeah.
But now that the game's over, it was never close. And then when you put on the 29-point beatdown we gave them last year, plus the 13-point beatdown from this year, I mean, it's been a pretty good run.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it was just like it was great to see UK put together a complete game and kind of seeing like they had a claw and scratch and fight for every shot, every board. Like it was nice to see them play a complete solid game.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest takeaways. Is I felt like, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that December was going to be an important month. It literally broke down that you were playing a UNC Greensboro team that was pretty good. The name doesn't say it, but it was pretty good.
Very experienced team.
Then you were going to play a scrappy Seton Hall, and then you were going to play a Power 5 conference in Utah. It is what it is. And then you had North Carolina in a neutral site, and then you had Louisville, who's not as good as North Carolina, but you're going into their home. So, and yes, I'm going to say we passed the test. Let's start there. Before we recap the Louisville game, did we pass the test that we set? Yes, we did lose to Seton Hall, but I think we won a lot in that game. We won the game with ourselves, but we lost in a way that said, you guys got to get better. You played good, but not good enough. I think if you win that game, you kind of play sleepy against North Carolina and Louisville. But what say you? We set a test. The month of December was going to be finals. Give us a grade in the month of December.
So in the month of December, I want to give us a B+. We kind of started off sluggish, C, B- range, and then we built. We learned from our mistakes. We got better, and we are starting to trend at the right time. And at this current rate, we are going to be peaking at the right time once tournament season rolls around, if we keep on this current pace. And that is what we as fans, we as, people that talk about the Big Blue, we want to see them continue to grow over and over and over. And that's why I'm giving them a B, because there's still room to grow. And that as a fan gets me excited, because we are not at our potential yet, and we beat a very good North Carolina team. And whether we want to admit it or not, Louisville was a solid team too. They might be a tournament, second round team. So very good B, I should say a solid B.
I like that. I can get with that. I mean, obviously, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid now. I'm high on these last two wins, so I want to say A, because I think I was very optimistic about the Seton Hall game all the way except for the outcome. And, I mean, that the bad thing about basketball, the bad thing about the one-and-done tournament where there's 64 teams, 68 teams, and anybody can lose, is if you get a guy who shoots 7 for 7 on crazy three-pointers, you're probably going to lose.
Right.
And I can't be mad about that. The thing that I like about this season is it's like creating something. And this season really looks like that. The first season, you see what you got. Or the first month, the month of November, we just seen what we had. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't pretty.
It is like playing with a new toy. It is nice, and you really don't know what it all does yet.
Yeah, but also there's some assembly required. You know,
yeah.
because in the month of December, and I'm going to speak on that because that's what we just went through, every game had its purpose. UNC Greensboro had a really good player in that Lonzo kid. Hagan said, "This is my role. I'm going to shut you down." And then Seton Hall came, and we realized, even though we lost the game and we missed some shots, the offense started to form. The offense had some fluidity. They had some purpose. The passes had purpose. The shots wasn't going in, but you had a role.
And we definitely grew from that game. Definitely grew.
Exactly. And then Utah came in, and they're a lesser team, so you get to see that offense against a lesser opponent. We're still trying. We're still building. And then, North Carolina, big-time opponent. They could score as much. So now it's time for you to put that offense to use. They did that. And the things I've always found intriguing, and I hate the last couple of years, when you go from playing a North Carolina water slide, when you're on a water slide, you're just rolling. Like, there's no stop.
Yeah.
And that's how the scores came. That offense was up and down the court. Everything you wanted was there. There was no stop. And then imagine going from that water slide to running in mud. That's how it is when you play Louisville. You're running in mud. You can't get anything going. A 4-point deficit seems like 12. A 10-point deficit seems like 20.
Yep.
And you just kind of get into, even without Rick Pitino on that defense, there's still just that feel when you're playing. Maybe it's the nerves of a rivalry game or just everything seems a little off. And I feel like we're coming together. Roles are now defined. Now, January will come time to push that to the test. You've got your new toys. You've made tweaks to it. Whatever broke the first time, you fixed it. Now let's see what we got. And then February becomes fix whatever broke, polish it up, and let's get ready for March. Because in March, there's no looking back.
Yeah.
Every game, every loss in March has big repercussions. Either you lose in the conference championship game, and that's frowned upon, or you lose in March, and it's done. Or in the big tournament, and it's done.
Yep.
So, the season, I feel like there's some points where you're still concerned about how we're going to match up against Duke. Tennessee's out there being world beaters. Auburn's still a scrappy team. Then you got good schools like Michigan out there who are one of the top teams out. So there's still a lot of questions, but I like where we are.
There are still a lot of questions, but we also have a lot more answers from our team. We kind of know what we got now. After that loss against Duke, we kind of had that sick feeling in our stomach. We're like, whoa, wait a second. Are we going to be a second round team? Are we going to be a first round team? But I feel like most of us, I had North Carolina going to the Final Four or at least the Elite Eight, and to beat North Carolina like we did with those expectations from that team, that makes me feel great. That gives me really high hope. But at the same time, I don't want to get overexcited either because the SEC is going to be a fight this year, really big fight.
It is, and I think fans are going to have to adjust because typically when the SEC's been down, 4 or 5 losses in the SEC get you put at about a 5 in the tournament. But if you look at some of the other 1 seeds in the past, you've had 5, 6 losses. Mm-hmm. And 5 and 6 losses in this SEC isn't going to be that bad. If you lose at Auburn, at Tennessee, at Mississippi State, at Florida, and then say at Georgia or somewhere, that the committee is not going to judge you as harshly as they would have 5 years ago. So I think we all have to keep our heads up. When we go into Auburn, when we go into Tennessee, when we go into Florida or Vandy, those normal trip-up spots, we have to, and we do fall. If we lose, whether it be by 3 points or 12 points, you have to say, okay, that's a part of the process. This is what happens when you play in I know people's going to be mad, but when you play in a basketball conference, when you play in a conference that's going to put 6 to 7 teams in the NCAA tournament, this is what happens. This is what Duke and North Carolina and those old Big East teams, that's what you all had to go through. You lose 3 or 4 games, you go on a 3-game losing streak, and you bounce back. Typically, you go on a 3-game losing streak in the SEC, it's done for. But now, you go on a 3-game losing streak in the SEC, you can bounce back because you're still a good team.
And
so I think that's my.
Yeah, and I kind of want to almost say it might be expected for us to lose 2-3 games in a row in the SEC just because the SEC has gained so much depth over the last couple years. With like Auburn doing good, Ole Miss, and then Tennessee, and then the Gators always seem to be a scrappy team too. So I mean, I think it's kind of expected from people at ESPN, CBS, the people that make the tournament seedings. Like, hey, the SEC is not just a few teams. Like they're a very deep conference now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And to be honest with you, now obviously I'm not going to suggest this happens. But if we just take care of business at home, we're going to be okay.
Right.
If we lost every road game ahead of us, we're going to be we're going to struggle. It's going to hurt us. Don't get me wrong. But you would finish with 9 losses. But if we won every home game, you would beat a top-ranked Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
You would beat a top-ranked Tennessee, a top 10 Auburn, plus Mississippi State, LSU, Florida. You would still get some pretty. You would have a decent resume, and your losses wouldn't be that bad. I mean, losing at Vanderbilt or at a Florida year on their down would be kind of tough to swallow. But if you just took care of your business at Rupp, you're going to be okay. So I think that's one thing that it's an adjustment period. SEC's better. Kentucky doesn't have that Anthony Davis, so it's going to be an adjustment period. But I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I have to agree with everything you said. Even if we drop one game at home versus a Tennessee or even an Auburn,
right,
I would still be okay. Batting 800 at home.
Absolutely. So let's just dive into this Louisville game. Give me 3 takeaways from the Louisville game.
So the first thing that comes to mind is our guard play is really starting to elevate. Since the exit of Quade Green, Hagens and Hero are starting to play more loose, starting to have fun, starting to play like the recruits that we recruited to come to Kentucky and be a dominant figure. Second take is on it was mid first half when we got that ridiculous offensive foul call on that 3-point shot. I am surprised Cal did not lose his cool. I think Cal knew if he lost his cool, he would lose the team, and then it would be a sluggish, slow-paced game, and he did not want to play that. So I think Cal is learning how this team works. Just kind of have them play, get in the flow, and don't get upset over a bad call or a missed call. Second thing is Reed Travis, I think, is probably the unspoken leader of of that team. You can see even when he is on the bench, he is encouraging people, saying, "Hey, yes, you had a great big dunk. Now get your butt back and guard." He is that tough nosed guy that this team needs to kind of hold everything together. He is a glue per se, and hopefully he can stay out of foul trouble. It seems like he gets some ticky tack fouls, but once he figures that out, learns how these SEC refs are going to call the game, he'll be perfectly fine. So those are my big 3 takeaways from the game.
So to touch on some of those takeaways. Yes, I don't want to sound. Look, I wish Quade the best. He went to Washington. You was right. Points on that one. Surprised he went across country. But
yeah, me
whatever.
too. Honestly,
to a team that's probably not going to be a contender. On the first takeaway, I don't want to say anything to your point. I don't want to take anything away from Quade, but I think Quade was he was your combo guard. He was the type of guard that was good at 1 or 2, but had flaws at a 1 or 2.
Right.
And that allowed guys to step in and say, "You're a 1 or 2. You're a point guard. Ashton Hagens, you are a point guard. Go be a point guard." I'm not going to force you at the 2 to try to get quad A on the ball, and I'm not going to force other guys at the 1 to keep quad A at the 2. You know, he did a lot of things good, but I don't think he did anything great. And, you know, there may still come some games where it bites us, but you never truly know. I think the guards are becoming defined roles, and I think that's what happens when you have a less crowded room. You know, you just take one away, and now people have an understanding. To your second point of Cal, yes, I do think Cal is working to learn the different roles, because some guys, Cal gets a technical, they say, oh, I'm going to take over in his spot. Other guys, Cal gets technical, gets ejected, they're lost. They don't know what to do. And I think this is kind of that team. You did talk about Reed Travis being the unspoken leader, but you still, even Reed Travis hasn't been the guy on a team like this. When you're the guy at Stanford, ESPN's not there.
A little bit.
Here
different.
they are. You know, everybody's looked. When Cal gets thrown out, that's making Sports Center. Now there's questions to be asked. And Reed Travis being the leader, yes. And I think he's allowing the way he's showing other guys how to lead. I see P.J. Washington react and interact with Reed Travis a lot better than I think I kind of expected. When P.J. came in, I thought he was going to kind of be the bummer. I thought he was going to be the guy that said, I wasn't good enough to go pro last year. Let me show you I can do it this year. And I thought he was going to play us out of some things. But it's like Reed Travis has taken him under his wing and said, I can show you how to be great and a team player. You know, we talked about it earlier a couple weeks ago, that a lot of times when guys come back, or when guys are freshmen or big-time sophomores,
right,
they think, oh, the scouts want to see me shoot this 3. The scouts want to see me get this big dunk. And they forget, scouts want to see you hustle. Scouts want to see your fundamentals. Scouts want to see your free throws. Scouts want to see all this stuff. And I think Reed Travis, being a fifth-year senior, is getting PJ to understand that.
And he's smart enough upstairs to understand how to relay that.
By Dan Dockett and Jason J. Billis yesterday, that P.J. Washington was the best player, but the numbers didn't show it. Like in yesterday's game, He was so influential, but he only had 4 or 6 points. You know, he was so influential, but he didn't have all the big blocks or big dunks. But he was doing the little things. He shut down their best shooter. Comparatively speaking, I mean, when you're a scorer, you're still going to put up 17. But he stopped it from going to 30. And when that happened, that's what the scouts watch. And I think PJ's understanding that. And it's getting him better, and it's making us better. Some real quick things I like to do when I'm talking Kentucky: the good, the bad, the ugly. The good is their offense. I was never worried about the defense. Cal gets that on. It's the offense. And I'm seeing shots fall. I'm seeing Tyler Hero getting a rhythm. I'm seeing Ashton Hagen making things happen. The fact that he can get to the basket is good to me. They'll start falling later.
Yep.
The bad is our final 2 minutes. Both things that I was glad about, North Carolina and Louisville, is that we had a lead and they never got within 4. Both games we took a double-digit lead and we never let them get back within 6 or 4 or cut it to 2. We kept them at bay. But I'm getting concerned, our execution, and maybe it's our next learning process, our execution in that final 2 minutes. When they start pressuring our inbound, we make some silly plays. We got away with a little bit of a silly exchange. We did turn the ball over once trying to get it into PJ. If these are 4 and 6 point games, those can be huge. If you're up 12 or 14 and they get a cheap one on you and it goes to 12, you're okay with that with 2 minutes left. But if it's a 4-point game at Tennessee, a minute left, and you cause that kind of turnover, it's going to have negative ramifications. So I need to see us working. And the ugly part, I'm going to just say this facetiously, kind of being a negative Nelly, if I will, just things I watch. E.J. Montgomery, Emmanuel Quickly aren't really logging a lot of minutes.
Right.
And I think they'll flourish. Now, that shouldn't be a bad thing, because I would love to see both those guys as sophomores. And I don't know anything about these kids personally. I'm sure they're great kids. But kids still make decisions that they feel best for them.
Yeah, as we all should.
I have no problem. I don't expect the world of all these freshmen, and I have no problem with a freshman struggling like a freshman should. I just want it to pay off with an experienced sophomore and then maybe potentially turn into a nice junior. But if they get mad and transfer or they leave in the NBA anyway, it becomes frustrating because the struggling, the investment that you put in their freshman year never pays off. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you know, I love making metaphors. It's like if you go to the old junkyard and you pick up an old 69 Chevy and it doesn't work for you and it costs you a lot of money.
Right.
But if you can turn that into a classic car, it's worth it. But if it never becomes anything, you just wasted your time and your money. And that's the part that concerns me every time that a game ends and E.J. Montgomery finishes with 8 minutes or 4 minutes and 2 points and quickly finishes with 8 to 10 minutes and 4 points and 2 turnovers. I'm fine with that. I just need it to become a sophomore. I just need it to pay off for us.
Hopefully it doesn't affect their psyche, and they're still great basketball players. You wouldn't be here at Kentucky if you weren't great. Just understand that your role on this team is I need you here for 8 minutes and do well, not 20 minutes.
Well, and I think this is the part that this is the part, and I'm not going to blame on anybody. It's just life. This is the part of the culture change. Because the first 5 years Cal was here, the culture was you come here, you play really good, you go pro. And then it became I have to go pro because if I come back at sophomore at Kentucky, they're going to look at me as a failure.
Mm-hmm.
We need to. This is very important for a shift. That it's okay to struggle as a freshman because we're going to be darn good as a sophomore. And it's okay if I'm not a top 10 pick as a sophomore because Cal's going to get me right by my junior. That's the culture that that North Carolina, and I hate to bring them up on a Kentucky show, but that's the culture they've created, and it's resulted in 2 titles and 3 championship games and still putting guys in the pro.
And a great team this year still, even though we destroyed them.
They still could be a Final Four team. Who knows?
Yeah.
I would hate it knowing how we beat them, but who knows? And when you look at that team, I'm pretty confident most of those guys will be here next year. And I hate that. But I would love to see that for us. I would love to look at this game and say, Travis will be gone, Keldon will be gone, maybe PJ. But, man, can you imagine what Hagens is going to be as a sophomore,
right.
What Hero's going to be as a sophomore, what Quickly Montgomery's going to be as a sophomore, what junior Nick Richards is going to be. But the culture that we have right now makes me super nervous because these guys are playing good enough that in theory about 7 of them could go pro.
Yeah, and I am going to echo everything you said, but hopefully, Cal can kind of change that culture a tad bit, Well, and I also think with the NBA draft rules changing, that you can go, enter yourself in the draft, and if you don't get picked in those first 2 rounds, you can come back to like school. Hopefully, that will trigger some of these kids. Like, hey, you are not quite there yet, but you give me one more good year, I can get you there. So hopefully that will help. And then Cal's mindset that he has now, hopefully that could start to roll downhill and make us, win championships 3 out of the next 4 years. Win 3 out of the last 5. Something like that.
Yeah, the problem with that is, and I wish it's a start, but I wish they would tweak it a little more because you saw it last year. Hamidou Diallo didn't really dominate at Kentucky.
No.
Jared Vanderbilt barely played, but it's almost like it's a culture that's blended together. These kids come to Kentucky and think they should automatically go pro, and then the NBA says, hey, I got this random second-round pick. I'll draft him. He went to Kentucky. He must be okay.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is Tyler Hero goes pro. Ashton Hagens goes pro. Not really good enough to be a first-round pick, but then late second round, some random team says, hey, I got an extra pick. I don't have the roster spot for you. I could shove you in the G League. Come on, Tyler Hero. You went to Kentucky. You must be something. Ashton Hagens, you went to Kentucky. You must be all right. And when they're drafted in the second round, they can't come back. So I wish they would change it to where if you're drafted in the second round, you have a choice to sign the contract or come back. And then maybe that the team owns your rights for 2 or 3 more seasons. So, there's no really way to dodge it. If you come back, if you go out the next year, you still got to go to that team.
Right.
I don't know. It's just, I think there needs to be a big change. And I hope last year was that change when Cal, aside from Kevin Knox, when Cal went out and just got a bunch of mid-tier guys that were still 4 and 5 stars, but they were run-of-the-mill, and a lot of those guys returned. Now, one transferred and a couple went pro, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm hoping this is a culture change. So moving back to the Louisville game, I'm going to give you the players. Give me your thoughts and a quick grade on how you thought they did just in the Louisville game. Ashton Hagen.
I think Hagen's had a great game. He stepped up, and he was the point guard. He was getting to the rim when the Cards were basically asking him to shoot. He hit a couple big shots. I give him a minus.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A minus too. I think when you go out and have 8 steals versus a team, the expectation is you're going to do it again. And he didn't, but he had some good solid plays. The one where he intercepted it, where he just jumped up and hawked it with one hand, was just
not
the
today.
No.
No,
Not here. I'm too good. I do think I'm a little concerned early when they said beat us offensively. He tried to do too much, and then he looked sporadic on defense.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he straightened out, and at the end of the game, once his confidence got to flowing, he got a little too cocky, put the L's down with about 20 seconds left, had the shoes that had to be removed that had the L's down. I thought they were pointing at the championship on the laces, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want, which is going to happen because the kid's young. He should be a senior in high school. Don't be one of these kids that you're great when the going's good, but then you disappear when the going gets tough. Because there's going to be games where the going gets tough. And I don't want that kid to be the kid that starts pushing and starts acting sporadic and creates 12 turnovers of his own. So I'm going to give him an A minus. I'm there with you. But buyer beware. I still need to see more. He's still a young kid, but I thought he made the most of the offense. And the fact that he still tries to get to the basket even though they're not dropping, you got to respect it.
I think his stock is still low, but it's starting to trend up. So it'd be a good buy.
Yeah. Tyler Hero.
Like I said, I'm gonna have to give him a minus as well. I believe he had 20 plus points, if I'm not mistaken.
24.
24 points, and that's exactly what we need from him moving forward. Like, we need that outside shot to start to fall, so we can have Reed Travis and PJ and Nick go down low and just do work. So he was hitting his outside shot. I believe he hit 2 out of 4, 3 out of 5, something to that range. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but he shot pretty well from outside. So we need to do that, and so that's why I'm giving him a minus as well.
Look, I'm gonna give him an A plus, and I'm gonna give him an A plus in that the shots were falling. He played good on defense. He took away one of their – everybody was on kind of stopped, and he completely shut out McMahon, who is their spark plug, who's the guy that comes and hits 3 crazy threes, and then next thing you know, Louisville's on a run. Rex Chapman brought up a good point, I think, before the North Carolina game, that everybody wants Tyler Hero to be the catch-and-shoot type of guy. But Tyler Hero's more of a get it at the top of the key, dribble, pull up.
Yeah.
And I think they're starting to say Tyler Hero now. We're running plays that Tyler Hero, we're going to give you the ball top of the key. If you notice, there was a lot of Hagen to Hero to Johnson plays that at any time Hero could have hit you with a crossover and then pulled up. He could have taken it to the basket, or he could have passed it off.
The ball
now,
was
obviously,
great.
It's much better when he can get that catch and shoot, because with Travis down low and with Keldon Johnson's ability to drive, they're going to be catch and shoot moments. He did have a boneheaded play going into the halftime where he pulled up a beautiful shot. I mean, it was a great play. If there was 10 more seconds, it'd have been fine. If there was 10 less seconds, that'd have been fine. But the fact that he pulled up the play with about 10 seconds was bad. But
yeah.
you can still get an A+ with a 98, 97 score. I'm going to give him an A+. Moving on, Keldon Johnson.
He started the game off fairly well. He hit I think the first 3 shots, maybe first 4 shots. I'm not 100% sure. He shot 50% from the field, 50% from the 3-point line as well. He is kind of the, I don't want to say unsung hero, but he is that player that just gets there and does his job. He's not too flashy about it, even though his shoes are mismatched for some reason. I don't know why. But I want to give him an A just because, I think he played pretty much the whole game, maybe sat a little bit in the second half. But he is a solid player that just does his job. He gets his points. He gets other players involved. He is there when you need him. That's why he gets an A.
Based on this one Louisville game, from this point on, it's going to be tough because the headliners was Ashton Hagen and Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
It's going to be easy to say, I don't remember Keldon Johnson doing anything. Give him a C. Because I've only watched the game once. I haven't watched it again. And Keldon Johnson didn't jump off to the page the way he has in North Carolina games or other games. But I'm going to give him a B. I don't remember everything he did, but I remember he had some key plays. When Louisville was close, his ability to get into the lane got him out of certain defenses. He played pretty solid defense from everything I remember. He hit his free throws when he went up there. With me only watching the game once, I'm going to give him a safe B because I feel like he did what needed to be done. And I don't want to penalize him because he didn't overshadow Hero and he didn't overshadow Hayes. Because this is college. We need everybody to step up. This isn't the NBA where one star can get it done. And we needed Hero to get going. We need Higgins to get going. We need all these guys to get going. So just because Keldon wasn't the spotlight, I don't want to penalize him for that because I feel overall he played pretty solid.
Yeah.
So let's move on here. PJ Washington.
PJ, just like you alerted to earlier, the points are not going to jump off the page at you. The rebounds are not going to jump off the page at you. But he was there locking down their best player, their quote-unquote best player. And he was just nasty. It's just something about him when he does that little mean mug face and he just plays well. He doesn't make too many stupid mistakes. And so with that, I'm going to give him a B+. Simply because at the end of the day, I do kind of want the stats to jump out a little bit more, even though he is doing a lot of stuff off the ball on the defensive side. I want to see a little bit more on the offense, but I do know playing that great on the defensive side does wear you out. So a B+.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A, and I think this is a part of his growth and maturing because he did exert most of his energy on being in front or around Enoch, switching on some of the smaller guards, making them shoot shots they're not comfortable with. I think that really helped us out. Yes, on offense, he had some solid plays. I really like the fact that now he's hitting that little floater. He's in that short post floater, but he's not forcing it because when you come over to double him, him and Reed Travis have this connection. He knows where he is at all times. It's almost like Tom Brady and any running back. Yeah, Tom Brady may be wanting to go deep downfield, but in the back of his mind, he always knows where that dump off is that's going to be a safe play. And I feel like he gets the ball. He's looking to take you to the basket. But if you do something to stop it, he always knows where Reed Travis is. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's going to be very important for us. So I'm going to give him an A.
And they're definitely clicking really, really, really well. I'm really surprised about that.
Speaking of the devil, moving on, Reed Travis.
Reed Travis, he is playing great. I like what he's doing. I think he had 9 points with four boards The only thing I'm concerned like are those fouls. It like when he gets those 2 quick fouls, he sits out early, and then it kind of gives the opposing team a little bit of air to breathe. So that's why I'm going to give him a B- on that game, not because he is not a force down there in the paint. He was some great post moves. He was sealing out the guy from Louisville, slipping my mind, but some of those seals that he had were great. It's just I need him to watch his fouls a little bit more.
See, I'm gonna give him an A-, and I think I get what you're saying there because it does look like he gets some fouls early. But I think everybody's okay with that because when he picks up early fouls, that's when Cal gets his mandatory put E.J. Montgomery in time. But he's also smart enough to say, I have no fouls. I'm going to play aggressive. I'm going to bully you a little bit because I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm older than you. I'm smarter than you. I'm going to bully you.
He is
when that third foul comes, he says, okay, I'm going to play smart now. I'm going to take the things I've learned over the last 4 years, and I'm going to play smart. I'm going to let you have a crazy shot. If you make it, great for you. If you don't, rebound for me. So I think he's smart enough to know how to turn that on and off, and I think Cal kind of trusts him. That's why when he picks up if there's anybody who picks up the third foul and saves the game, it's typically him.
Yeah.
Because I think Cal. Now, when you get to that fourth foul and there's still a lot of time left, sure Cal's like scratching his head and wondering what's going on. But for the most part, I trust Reed and his experience to get through that. But in this game, I mean, he had a couple of good blocks. He was putting in the flow of the game really didn't show that he needed to do too much down low,
right.
But he made some great passes out of it. He, for the first time, except for maybe Anthony Davis, sophomore Terrence Jones, Nerlens Noel before he got injured, and then Karl Anthony Towns, do I feel unnervous when he catches the ball in the post and a double team comes? So many players, last year's team with P.J. Washington, Nick Richards, Gabriel, Playa Jones, all those guys, when they got the ball down low, I was just saying, please don't dribble it, just get rid of it.
Especially Wenyen Gabriel. He always scared me to death every time he put the ball on the ground.
When Reed Travis has the ball, I am confident he is going to make the smart play and just throw it out. Just kick it out. And there's some great plays that come of it. I feel like even though he's not the tallest guy, he's not like 7'2" and he sees over everybody. He just has that vision that makes me at peak.
Has that sixth sense kind of like.
And then, of course, watching it from TV, pressed to the max, we're not there. I mean, you probably got to give bonus points and just the benefit of the doubt that after every play, every timeout, every foul, every stoppage of play, he's breathing in leadership to these guys.
Yeah.
And that's intangible. You can't put a score on that. So I'm going to give him an A-. That's our starters. This is where it's going to get a little more trickier. We're moving in. Emmanuel Quick. Didn't play a whole lot. Didn't score a whole lot. What was your takeaway?
Seeing the few minutes that he did play, he had one score, a couple assists. He does it like I don't think he likes coming off the bench. Like it is hard for him to get into the flow of the game. So it just like he needs to learn his role. Learn hey, it's okay to come off the bench. Like I'm still in the game. I'm still scoring. I'm still doing me. But I gotta kind of give him a C- just because I don't see him doing good things when he's in there. He doesn't seem in sync with the rest of the team.
So Cal's done this thing the last couple of years with positionless basketball. It hasn't always panned out, but Cal likes playing 7 to 8 guys max. So somebody's going to get the flip on this, especially depending on what Jamal Baker, and we'll get to him next. So I don't want to be too harsh on Quickly because of that, because I don't want to fall prey to the culture that we just talked about, where he's a freshman, he's a point guard, under Calipari, where's my 20 points? I look at him, and I'm going to give him a B+, because what didn't happen. When he came in for Hagens, the world didn't fall apart.
Good call. Yeah.
And I think that's the expectation. That's a realistic expectation for freshman point guards. The world didn't fall apart.
Especially
Cunningham
non-starters.
Right. Cunningham didn't go nuts. They didn't go on 10-0 run. You know, and I'm sure it's a whole team effort, but the fact that, and he's a bit of a change of pace. You know, Hagens has his offensive struggle, but you know when Quickly comes in, if you play teams that has one main guard, and he spends his energy on offense trying to get around Hagens, and Hagens is a beast on defense. Let's not forget that.
Right.
But then on defense, you get to take a break because you don't worry about Hagens offensively. So you're kind of playing back, you're kind of looking, that's where you're resting. But then Quickly comes in, and you don't get that much of a break on offense because Quickly can still play some defense. He can still get in you. But then when Quickly has the ball, you have to be up in his. So I think we're going to see this. If everyone buys in, if this role starts happening, Hagens is your guard, Hagens is your man, but Quickly's a nice guy to have. And you saw it down the stretch. When we struggled with that 1-3-1, because we only had really 2 shooters and 2 handlers, they put Quickly in at the 2 with Hagens, and it was interesting because now you have 2 ball handlers. You got 2 smart decision makers. Yes, he's not the guy you want him to be, but the world didn't fall apart when he was in there. I'm okay with that. I'll give him a solid B+.
Yeah, I think I kind of have to up my grade on that too. Like you made some valid points there.
So Jamal Baker, what's your take?
So Jamal Baker reminds me of Vanderbilt like this past year. When he got in there, he was trying to do too much. He could not calm down. And I kind of foreshadow Jamal Baker being like that when he gets in that game, just because, this is his first time being in the game and he wants to make a big impact and make a big splash right here, right now. He never lets the game come to him. So he kind of seems high sprung. He just needs to calm down and relax. So that's why I'm going to give him a C, just because he doesn't need to be that explosive, a big dunk, a quick 12, 13 points. Just let the game come to you, bud, and relax. Go with the flow. So
maybe I'm too optimistic. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too much here. But I'm going to give him a B-. And the reason that is, when Vanderbilt came, it was later in the season.
True.
Vanderbilt played a position where we didn't really need the help. That 3 position really was fine with Kevin Knox and some of that depth. Gabriel coming out there hitting some threes. Vanderbilt came in and didn't really have anything consistently that said, I can keep him out there. So all we heard about Vanderbilt was he was a great passer, but he was out of shape, and some of his he wasn't used to playing with his team members, so his passes were airy. Sometimes, and then he was never a good scorer, and due to his fatigue concerns, he couldn't give you much on defense. So there was no reason to really stick with him. Now, if he came back for a sophomore year, I think we'd have saw some great things, but he didn't. Jamal Baker, though, he's on the court for one reason: to hit 3 points, much like Ryan McMahon was for Louisville. The difference is when they're not falling, Ryan McMahon had to come out. He took 1 3-pointer, missed it, couldn't do anything else, had to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Baker is giving you solid minutes on defense. Baker's saying, hey, Cal, I know you put me out here to score, and I'm not scoring, but I'm playing defense. And the dude's essentially a freshman who's less talented than Quickly. I think we got to hold him to such. The world wasn't falling apart when he was out there. Yes, he did try to rush his shot, and I think that's completely different. Everybody was on the train when he hit those 2 nice shots versus Utah when the game was decided and defense wasn't really being played. Now you got solid defenders, you got good players, and they know he can shoot, so they're trying to run him off the 3-point line. But he's still giving you positive minutes. Now, when we get to March, if the threes aren't falling and he's not giving you anything positive, he may not be losing anything, but if he's not giving you anything, I'm fine putting him down, cutting his minutes. But let him get in the rhythm. He's still playing solid defense. there was times he was guarding the point and nothing happened. He did good. He did his job. He did hit a three-pointer, and he only missed 2, so he was 1 for 3. He did the two shots he missed were a little hurried, but it's not like he's shooting you out of the game. So I'm going to give him a B minus. Still trying to, like I said, try to change that culture because I think he's going to be a heck of a shooter become his junior year. Pick up some defense, man. You know, that's always been the problem when we got these guys who are expert shooters or typically like the 10th man on the roster. They can't give you anything else. You know, Jared Polson was a decent three-point shooter, but up until his senior year, gave you absolutely nothing on defense. Baker can.
I'm okay with. Say the only thing I'm hoping that he doesn't do is he doesn't try to force stuff, like force the game to come to him. I just want him to know he is in the game, and if a shot's there, take it, but don't try to force anything.
And I think that's one thing I like is that he's aware. I mean, he did take a bad shot both in North Carolina and in the Louisville game. But they were both brushed. He popped his wrist. He didn't follow through. And he becomes aware. He has a horrible miss, and he doesn't shoot again. That's fine for his role. Tyler Hero misses a couple air balls. You need him to keep shooting because you know what his role is.
Yeah.
Baker's role is just to come in, don't mess up on defense. If you get us 3, 6, 9 points, great. So I'm okay with what he's giving us. I'll give him a B. All right. EJ Montgomery. I'll say
EJ's kind of rough because when he's in there, I don't notice that he's in there because my eyes get drawn to Reed, Travis, or a Hero, like honestly. So when EJ's in there, he just doesn't make that big impact on me. So like I really can't justify giving him a grade one way or the other because I can honestly say that I didn't really watch him play. So I mean, he did have 2 points and 2 boards and 9 minutes of like time on the court. So with that, I mean he's got to get a B just for just a point to time on the court ratio there. But other than that, I mean I really can't justify anything that I said. So floor's all yours there.
So you're going to notice a trend here. Same thing I've said with the last 2 guys coming off the bench. And I want to be a part of this culture shift where it's okay to have a freshman year. And I think this team, even though we have freshmen in the starting lineup, this team, especially with our big PJ and Reed Travis, it shows you it's okay for him to be a freshman. And when you're a freshman big man, first off, I think that's the hardest thing to judge because there's not comparatively speaking, if you compare every high school basketball player in America, there's not many 6'10" and above.
Right.
So if you take it here in our hometown of the Southern Indiana area, you give me somebody who's 6'10", he's going to dominate pretty easily.
Oh, easy.
There's not a lot of 6'10" guys walking around. So you got bad, you got bad form. Doesn't matter. You're 6'10". Can't hit a shot. Doesn't matter. You're 6'10". Can't shoot a layup. Doesn't matter. You're going to get enough shots because you're 6'10". That doesn't work in college because every team has a 6'10" guy, and they're probably pretty good because it's Division I college. So they got to be super hard to judge. If you get a 5'10" guy who's dominating in high school basketball, he's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Because everybody's 5'10" or higher in basketball, even in high school.
Right.
But 6'10", it's like being super fast in football in high school. You can get away with it, but you go to college, you got to have a little bit more. And so it's hard for you to judge big men first off. So the most important thing you said to me there was you didn't notice he was in. And as a freshman big man who's trying to find his way, I'm okay with that because if you notice he was in, it's because he's making mistakes.
True. Very true on that one.
So the fact that he can come in for Reed Travis and TJ Washington and you not notice it, I'm okay with that for now. Now, to go back to my earlier little rant, I need this to pay off for me. I need next year E.J. Montgomery to be a 20-point guy. You know what I'm saying? I need next year E.J. Montgomery to be a rebounding machine.
Yeah.
I need next year to be. I need sophomore E.J. Montgomery to show glimpses of Anthony Davis. You know, I'm being cheeky when I'm saying that, but I need this to junior E.J. Montgomery. What I need this to pay off for. But I'm okay with it now. I'm okay with this little investment now because I don't know when he.
Hopefully it pays off.
So I did forget one, but this is the one I kind of will be a little harsher on. Nick Richards.
Okay.
What was your grade?
So when Nick was in there for those, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes that he was he was in there, he kind of seemed lazy to me. He did not go after the boards. He was not really looking for the ball down there in a post. It almost hurt him to be in the game. I kind of feel like he is checked out on the season because he's only getting 5-6 minutes in a game. Is Nick the odd man out this year? It's kind of looking that way. But I like Nick from his freshman year, and hopefully he can kind of find that little swag that he had last year for those kind of late toward the season. That's the Nick Richards that we need to come. So for this game, for his lack effort on the boards, lack effort of really wanting the ball in the post, I gotta give him a D.
So once again, call me overly positive. We did talk about this when Quad A transferred out, and I don't want Nick to leave because Nick Richards, I think we need him for some time. We were going to need him to develop, and he's one of those guys that if you can keep him here as a senior or at least a junior, I think it's going to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back to our last player, and I'm going to give him a C, and it's because I did notice when he was in the game, both ways. He had a nice little block. He when the guards tried to get in, he said, "Nah, I'm here." He made some solid rebounds. So he proved in the North Carolina game too. You knew he was in. But when he messed up, I also was like, Nick must be in. When I saw a rebound come back to Enoch and he put it back in, I said, Nick Richards must be in.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw any offensive rebound that happened inside the paint for Louisville, I said, Nick Richards must be in. And it goes back to what we said when he had the 20 rebounds way back against whoever it was early in the season, Southern Illinois, I think.
Yeah.
When it's almost like talking about big men, and I'm going to give him the same benefit of the doubt that I gave E.J. Montgomery because changing the culture here, he's just a sophomore who didn't really have a great freshman season. When it's okay for him to be when it's time for him to be 7 foot, he's good. When no one else around him is 7 foot, he's fine. When the guy coming at him is not 7 foot, he's fine. But when anybody around him, when it comes time for him to be a basketball player, he's struggling. When it comes time for him to come up with a great rebound, a big clutch rebound, I'm not sold on. When it comes time for him to block out and defend a fellow number one pick, when I don't know how many great big men. I don't know if they'll ever play Oregon and and Bobo and them or other top 10 big men. I'm concerned because when he loses the fact that he's 7 foot tall and it comes down to just basketball versus basketball,
mm-hmm.
I get very nervous. So I'll give him a C. I noticed when he was in there doing good things. I'm like, hey, there's Nick Richards. But when something bad happened, I said, well, there's Nick Richards. So I'll give him a C. C minus I've been very positive, upbeat, focused on it. And I think that's what comes when you beat the rival.
Yeah.
When you beat Louisville,
You're
the
right.
sun just shines a little better. Those missed free throws, it didn't look so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Those missed shots, they were almost, it's much more positive.
Yeah.
So ask us again if I'm struggling, Bama, and we might be yelling at the top of our lungs about one missed free throw. Or
a little bit more harsh.
Yeah. We might give T.J. Washington a C because he went 9 for 10 from free throw line and we lost by 1. We might be much more harsh or unforgiving in a loss. So when you win versus Louisville,
as the wise man once just said, winning cures all.
It does. So we spent most of our time following basketball. For those who don't know, and which is probably nobody because we haven't made an announcement yet, but we're going to start pumping out 2 days a week. We're going to start doing since with conference play is consistent, you get a Saturday, you get a Tuesday game. We're going to do 2 shows a week, really kind of split the time on that, give us more opportunity to break down the games that we've seen. I don't want to be that show. I don't want to be that fan. I don't want to say, hey, basketball's great now. Forget about football. We do have a big game Tuesday. Keep it quick here. We've kind of broken this down. We're breaking this down already. Kentucky, Penn State. Quickly, Mike, give me your thoughts. Give me your expectations. Give me your outcome.
Well, from what I've heard or hearing or like I guess have not heard, everybody from Kentucky is playing. Snell's playing. Allen's playing. So
Jordan Jones is out but that's not him choosing. That's something he has. I mean, he's not eligible.
Right. But I believe he is the only starter that is out, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really looking forward to a very competitive game. Like I look for us to do what we did earlier in the season versus Florida and kind of just dominate the game. I mean, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't, quote unquote, dominate the game. I mean, we have all of our top guns, we have everybody that we need, and I just don't think Penn State is really that good. Yes, they are a 9-3 team. They are ranked number 12 in the nation. But I think they're overrated, and I think that's why the Cats win by 16, 17 points.
Well, I am excited if what the SEC has done to the Big Ten in this early bowl season is any indication of what's to come. I'm very excited because Auburn Purdue 63-14.
Ugly.
Probably making Brom wish he would have took that Louisville job. And then, yes, it was an undermanned Michigan team, but I'm going to tell you, if everybody says, hey, Michigan got embarrassed by Florida, but their top 4 players were sitting out. If the difference between winning a national championship and getting dominated by Florida is 4 starters, you probably weren't going to win a national championship anyway. So, and I hope Penn State players sit out. I don't anything to get, because here's the thing. Yes, basketball season's here. To me, the 2018 football season is over because we will not play another game in 2018.
Yep.
That season is over. Yes, this bowl win will go towards, or loss will go towards the 18 record. But everything, when I sit down and watch that game, 1 o'clock, Tuesday, ABC, the entire time I'm thinking 2019.
Yeah.
Because this 10th win helps 2019, helps the future of these Kentucky Wildcats. 10 wins and a Citrus Bowl trophy will help 2019, 2020.
Wearing that Citrus Bowl's ring, going into those recruits home here in the next few weeks to finish out this recruiting year, that's going to help a lot.
Exactly. When I watch these offense, yes, Benny Snell's going for the record, and that's 2018. But when I watched, but having Benny Snell talk about how he chose Kentucky, that's one of the best decisions he made, is going to help us. Seeing what A.J. Rose, what Terry Wilson, what Lynn Bowes, what those receivers can do, everything I watched them go against that Penn State defense, I'm thinking 2019. Yes, Josh Allen, but I like Josh Allen, so he's going to have to change it up to stop their quarterback. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Josh Allen's come out and said he's going to have to rush the passer a little bit different because he is more mobile. That's going to be Josh Allen's future. Josh Allen dominated 2018, got the Defensive Player of the Year award. Let's see. This is going. If Josh Allen dominates this game, number 1, 2, or 3 pick without a doubt.
Well, I
watch this,
I think he's projected to be number 3 now. Like, he could easily be a number 1 overall pick.
He is, but if he goes out there and struggles or gets hurt, or then there's all the combine. The NFL looks for reasons not to pick people.
Yeah.
So, but if he goes there and dominates, that his name, a player being picked 1, 2, or 3 at Kentucky from Kentucky is going to get recruit attention.
I agree.
Everybody else, Jordan Jones being out, he's a senior. I wish he could have played. I thought he made great bounds on the field and off the field this season. Was a little overshadowed by Cash Daniels, some of those other guys. But let's see what Chris Oates has. Let's see what Watson has. Let's see what Cash Daniels, the leader, wants. Because especially if the game gets out of hand one way or the other in the first half, I think Josh Allen's done. So let's see what Cash Daniels does to lead this defense. Let's see what this 2019 secondary is going to look like when they take out Westry, when they take out Edwards, when they take out some of these other guys. Let's see what that 2019 secondary is going to. So that's my expectation. I hope we win. But when I turn that game on, everything I watch is setting up 2019.
And just to add there, I'm not hoping we win. I'm kind of expecting we win because I think we need to build that culture. We are talking about culture change in the basketball world. We need to change that culture in the football world too. Every time we walk on the field, we should expect to win, not hope to win. Expect to win.
I agree, but I think much like we talked about here, because college football is much different. If you're not that 14, you're over there with your own personal agenda. You know, when you make a bowl game that's outside the playoff, when the national championship's off the table, you have your own personal agenda. Every fan base has their personal thing they're looking for. I would love a win. I would love win number 10. But the season, the 9-3, or even 9-4, is set. It's set. I'm looking for next year. And a win would be great. But I would rather, I'll be honest with you, last statement here, I would rather win. Or if you gave me two options, and it'll be a tough one, but if you could say we win 14 or 10-7, that was or 7, and Benny Snell had 150 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Josh Allen had 5 sacks, dominated, and our senior safeties had 2 interceptions. Or we lose, but it's a fun. We lose 45-38. The defense struggled, but they made some plays. But Terry Wilson came out, threw 5 touchdowns. Lynn Bowden had 12 catches, but we lost. I'm always going to pick a win, but I'd be concerned because that Benny Snell and that Josh Allen combo is not going to be a thing next year.
Yeah.
You see it all the time in football. A team may lose, but they do something in a bowl game. A player steps up in a bowl game, and then it just sets off their career. So, you know, and as much as a loss, I would hate it to see Terry Wilson. It's a Big Ten defense. That's a nice defense. It's not like we're going out here against Central Michigan. To see, or even Louisville, to see Terry Wilson put up 5 touchdowns, to throw for 400 yards, to see Lynn Bowden with consistent catches, or to see freshman receivers come up with 2 big touchdowns and just kind of take that step forward. Almost like, and on a different scale, almost like Alabama saw with Tua and that receiver last year. When that play happened and they won the national championship, Bama knew next year we're fine.
Right.
If we lost 42-38, and Terry Wilson and that offense looked amazing, hey, our defense will figure it out. But our offense, we're fine. I'm okay with it. So, yes, I want the win, but I want to see future development. I want to see 19 start to come into shape more than anything. Any closing thoughts, Mike?
I concur everything that you said, but I definitely want to win this game. I don't like Penn State. I don't like any Big Ten
I do
teams.
too. Go Big Blue. That's it. Join us next time. We're out.
Bye.